Mm-hmm. I'll mute us. Hey, Laura.
I leave today for California, so I'm crazy trying to pack.
Yay!
Welcome back from Dominican Republic.
That was awesome.
Hi, Laura. Hi, Judy.
Good morning.
Hi, Danielle.
Are you coming to San Diego?
I am. I'll be there tonight.
Yay! Okay, we might have to meet up.
Yeah, definitely. I have a class tomorrow night and a class on Saturday.
Cool.
Rob, your incognito is Tammy.
No.
Hey, Rob.
I'm here too.
To make those.
Actually, I think it's better for me.
We couldn't make my computer work, so with the Zoom application.
Well, thanks for giving it a try. You know, we try so many video conferencing tools, and this has been the one with the least complications, although it's never without a problem. It's kind of the never-ending struggle to find the right sweet spot.
I love
Yeah,
Zoom.
I think there's some filters I have on my computer. It wouldn't launch the application, so I'm trying to download it, but my computer, our network isn't liking that, so.
Yeah, but if I was MC, I would.
Well, Rob, we've got about 15, 16 people on the line, so I'll kind of from our end, we're ready to go whenever everyone else is, and people started off with Rob when he's ready.
Great. Welcome, everybody. This is, every time we do one of these calls, I get really excited about it because it gets me excited to go on a trip. I lose my focus for a minute because these are great expeditions that we go on. But anyway, for those of you that are participating live right now, thank you for joining us today. And we're recording this. And if you're listening to this or watching this later, it's important that everybody be prepared on these trips. And part of being prepared is listening to the details of these orientation calls. We're talking today about our trip to Nepal. We have two groups this year. Our first trip goes from April 25th through May 1st, and the second group goes from May 2nd through 8th. And I'm going to turn the time over to our partner on these expeditions, Choice Humanitarian. Just want to give you a kind of a little introduction of how we are associated with Choice. Choice Humanitarian is our partner when it comes to a lot of our economic development projects around the world. If I were to describe Choice, what they do best, and they can, Jordan, if I don't, you can, if I do a re-introduction. Choice does two things very well. One of the things they do is they are very good at working with long-term solutions to poverty throughout the world. They have activities from Guatemala to Nepal to Mexico and other parts of the world. But their whole work they do as a company is to look for solutions, working on permanent solutions to end poverty through economic development in the areas that they focus. They have great on-the-ground people. Best on-the-ground people I've ever worked with when it comes to their work that they do. But the other thing they're experts at is they're very good at service expeditions where they take people to these areas in which they're working on economic development, and they give them experience of serving and helping the people and seeing the projects that they're working on. So Choice has been a great partner with us on our co-impact sourcing development around the world. When we go into an area, to look at helping people with economic development through the production of aromatic plants and distillation of essential oils. They have been a partner with us, and not all of our projects, but most of our projects in these areas, to help us as we develop the supply chain, co-impact sourcing supply chain around the world. And then as we step in with some of our Healing Hands humanitarian support of those co-impact initiatives, they are also experts in helping us with those things, from drilling wells to engineering buildings. That's what Choice does. And we've also, we're fortunate to be able to take a few of you on these co-impact sourcing expeditions to kind of let you see how our Healing Hands Foundation resources are being spent, and also just give you an exposure to the co-impact sourcing supply chain. In this particular trip, we're going to see people how they harvest wintergreen, and you're going to see a distillation of wintergreen and kind of see that whole supply chain and get exposure to that on these trips. So I just want to say, though, it's your responsibility to make it to Nepal. And when we walk up out of that airport, we're now in the care of Choice Humanitarian, and they are the managers of the trip and the custodians of our safety and wellness while we're there. And we defer to Choice while we're on the ground, because they, again, are caring for our safety and providing, managing the agenda and making sure we're having a great experience while we are there. So we schedule these calls with Choice so they can go over. They've brought a number of groups to Nepal. They bring groups all year round to Nepal. Our trip and our group is a little bit different because we focus more specifically on wintergreen and our supply chain, and this is much more of a Healing Hands version of a trip to Nepal. But they're experts at Nepal, and they're experts at bringing people into Nepal. And so I'm going to turn the time over to them, and they're going to give us information on how to have a great experience on our trip to Nepal. So Jordan, Veronica, I'll turn the time over to you guys.
Great, thank you. It's a pleasure to meet everyone. I've been seeing your names floating around on the itineraries and group lists. And so our goal today is we've obviously got two groups that will be going on different weeks. And so our goal is to generally introduce you to the expedition experience and kind of and if everyone could have a chance and maybe mute their phone. We're getting some crunchy feedback here. But what we'll do is let's see. If everyone could have a quick look at your phone and just check if you're muted up. Awesome, I think we got it.
I know somebody's enjoying some potato chips.
I know,
we need to get that off the soundtrack. It's not me, I promise.
No Doritos witch hunt will go on. But our goal is to make sure that everyone has a good sense of, one, how expeditions function, and two, what the flow of this trip will look like, and what you can start to do to prepare yourselves, your colleagues or family if they're joining, to have a successful experience. And so with that, we're going to do just some quick introductions of the team. Not all of them are on this call, but these are people that you will start to experience working with and also learning from on the expedition. I'm going to briefly talk about the Choice Development Model. Rob may share a few extra words on the Co-Impact Sourcing Initiative and kind of how that fits into that. And then we'll dive right into the important stuff of really giving everyone a snapshot for the itinerary, the project work that'll be taking place, and then we'll wrap it up with how to have a successful experience, start to put on your radar. It's a ways off, but packing and how you might want to approach that, and then we'll leave some time for Q&A. And we'll try and interrupt a couple of these sessions to see if anyone does have questions throughout the conversation. So with that, quick introduction to myself. I will likely be on one of these trips towards the end. I will not be a primary expedition leader. My name is Jordan Menzel. I'm the Director of Expeditions here at Choice Humanitarian, and as Rob mentioned, this expedition, as well as many others year-round, are going on in our countries abroad. And so I really help coordinate that program, and I work closely with our partners. I've loved working with doTERRA, and I also work closely with the expedition leaders who are a part of every team. And so you'll see my name pop up around paperwork and making sure everyone's itineraries are tightened up and so on. And so I hope we have the chance to get to know each other a little bit more as well. And I'll let Veronica introduce herself. She will be one of your fixed co-leads, meaning that she will be present on the ground for all of the trips, including the trip that'll take place in March. And so Veronica is a phenomenal expedition leader, has been leading trips for Choice for a very long time, and is very beloved by the Nepal in-country team. So I'll let Veronica introduce herself, and then I know we've got Alyssa on the call, and she'll introduce kind of herself and her role from the doTERRA side, and then I'll just briefly introduce two other of your expedition leaders. Kind of the dates are noted there. So with that, Veronica.
Thanks, Jordan. Hi, everybody. I'm really excited to meet you on this call and to meet you in Nepal. As Jordan mentioned, I've been affiliated with Choice for quite a while now in the capacity of expedition leader, and I'm just thrilled to be able to have this opportunity to work with all of you. Hope you have a great expedition, learn about doTERRA in the process. A little bit of background, I went on my first expedition with Choice Humanitarian in 2009 and fell in love with the whole experience and with the organization. So I've been affiliated ever since. In my professional life, just finished a long stint at Stanford University working in development communications, and I'm really excited to now have this chance to help you all prepare and have a really great expedition, and to share with you some of the things I love about Nepal to hopefully help you prepare and get really excited about this opportunity.
Thanks, Veronica. Alyssa, are you on the line here?
I am. Hey guys, I'm excited to join you on this trip. So my role will obviously be secondary to Veronica. So I am there with doTERRA to really just be there and help enjoy the trip with you, along with you, to serve along with you, and to be there as our doTERRA rep along with our executive team that will be joining us. So getting excited.
Great, thanks. And I'll take a minute to introduce two of your other Choice leaders who will, I think the groups are very fortunate to have joined these trips, also in support with Veronica and Alyssa. On the first trip, which will take place in April, we'll have Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson has been with Choice for, 15 or maybe even 20 years. I don't want to date him while he's not on the call, but he has been such a pivotal individual in both growing the program, refining our development model, and has more recently shifted to focus his efforts exclusively on the creative and social economic development opportunities that are so critical to growing the Choice Work Abroad, and so rooted in the work that doTERRA and the Co-Impact Sourcing Initiative have been doing with Choice. And so Chris has extensive experience in the country and will be a phenomenal resource to really expound on what that looks like and what the doTERRA partnership has done from an impact perspective with the communities over in Nepal. So we're really lucky to have him. And then on the May trip, also very fortunate, we've got Leah Barker, who is our CEO and also one of our most beloved expedition leaders. For those who haven't had the chance to meet her, she's been here at Choice for over 6 years and has done tremendous work in building partnerships, growing the organization, and bringing a life and an energy to every expedition that she goes on, and kind of the team here. And so between all the leaders that you have, you've got a great resource to really help guide and also process the learning that comes with every expedition. So with that, we'll move. I want to touch on the in-country team briefly, just because they will, as you will all come to find, become an integral part of your experience. And so you won't have the opportunity to meet them, for most of you, until you get into the country. But when you get there, you'll find that every expedition is not just the preparation that you see happening right before you, but it's months and sometimes years of work from this in-country team, building relationships, training village leadership, and helping them prepare to carry out their own development. I'll talk about how they do that in a minute. But Vishnu and his entire team are so resourceful and so passionate, and they really are the sustainable boots on the ground that allow the choice development to take place, and that also allow partnerships like this with doTERRA to really have an efficient and a scalable impact. So they're just amazing people, and I just want to put that on your radar so you really understand that not only are you working with expedition leaders and trip leads, but also with a very skilled local native in-country team. A quick thought on the choice model. So it's been around for over 30 years. Founded initially up in the Altiplano in Bolivia, outside of Salt Lake City, Utah, based in Salt Lake City, Utah. And Choice focuses on helping villages become self-reliant through projects. And so as I kind of just introduced the in-country team there, every country in which Choice operates is led by local in-country leaders that are carrying out development projects long before, during, and after expeditions fit in. And just to give you a snapshot, we operate in 7 countries. And as Rob mentioned, doTERRA has had the opportunity to support our work in Guatemala. We have a trip coming up to Guatemala in February. And then these groups will be focusing in Nepal. And we've done work in all the other countries that you can see here on the map. And so over the years, the model has really been refined in each particular country under the direction of the in-country teams. And how that model works is up at the top, our in-country teams, day in and day out, work connecting with villages and village leadership to help teach and train village leaders and communities about a process that they can manage and undergo. And that process starts by that village identifying areas in which it wants to make a commitment to change and improve the standard of living within its families and community members. Choice then helps teach and train village leadership to go through team building exercises and to improve the way that that community is organizing and prioritizing its resources, and ultimately having a very grassroots community driven action plan about the priorities that is facing that community. Those could be issues around health, education, access to clean water, or access to healthy technologies to cook within a home. There's so many areas of issue that really focus on the communities that Choice works through. And those action plans are critical, and it's critical that they be community-led. And then comes execution. So our Choice team also teaches and trains and supports village leadership, family members, to carry out the execution of their own projects. And that includes villages committing time, committing resources, and then leveraging those resources with other local resources, or maybe even at a national level, funds, and then also funds from Choice and other partners like doTERRA. And then there's the celebration, evaluation, and the opportunity to repeat that model. So just to set the foundation, in every community in which Choice operates, Choice has been working with those leaderships long before an expedition ever arrives, and oftentimes they've been working on a set of projects with the assumption that, you know what, an expedition might not be a part ever of their development model. But in certain instances, there's the right partner, the right resources that come from expeditions, and a community that's at the right stage where an expedition can come in and fuel, accelerate that phase of the execute and celebrate model. So expeditions really fit into a critical, sustainable model of development, but by coming, you're accelerating the work that can get done. Oftentimes we will see a project that might take 8 to 9 months accelerate to 4 weeks or 3 months due to the infusion of both capital and just man hours and energy that really facilitate a community gathering around a project and speeding up the work that it's doing. So that's kind of how expeditions broadly fit into the ongoing development that Choice will be carrying out. And I don't know here, Rob, if you want to add any more thoughts than you already have shared around how Co-Impact Sourcing Initiative kind of fits into what people will be experiencing. I mean, you've touched on a few key points about that.
Only just, I just want to make just so you understand, a lot of times when people go on these Choice expedition trips, most of their activity for the week while they're there is to work on a specific Choice project. a development project while they are there. And we'll have some of those opportunities for that service, but part of this, the exposure that you're going to get on our DoTERRA specific version of these trips is we are providing some service, but we want to expose you to specifically how the essential oils and our supply chain is a part of the actual economic development plan they have for these areas. So anyway, Jordan, everything you said is great. Just understanding that these trips, where they're unique to DoTerra's, in addition to other things that Choice is doing in these areas, our essential oils is a huge part of their plan, and so you're going to get an in-depth exposure to the essential oil component of the plan, the economic development plan for the areas.
Yeah, that's a great point. And as we'll see in the itinerary discussion that Veronica will guide, as Rob mentioned, one of the key fascinating opportunities with a DoTerra expedition to this area is that you will get a chance to connect yourselves with the wintergreen sourcing and harvesting and distillation process, but you'll also get to see that whole process is actually an integral leg in the kind of prong of development that's taking place in Nepal. And so it's combined in a very holistic way, which is going to be a fun and unique part of this experience. Before we dive into the itinerary, for those of you who are wondering, an expedition, how is this different from a normal way I might travel? Or how is this different from even backpacking abroad, or perhaps previous trips that you've gone on that might be of a humanitarian nature? This framework seems to be helpful to allow people to start to slip into the mindset that we are going first and foremost to a developing economy and to very rural communities. When individuals talk about the quality and standard of living facing families living under $1.50 or $2 a day, those are the communities in which Choice operates. And because we are working with the organic village-led process of development projects, it means there are inherently going to be things about our experience that we can control and that we can plan for. And then there are a lot of things that we know about, but really cannot plan. And we do not yet know how they will unfold. And so as you look at this list, I don't want to talk about each item, but I do want to let you know that today and up until your trip, we will be doing our best to make sure that everyone is clear on the things that we can know. And those things might change, but we can know them and we can make sure we're communicating them. And these are things you can start to plan on now. And that means our trip itinerary and what we'll go over today, you will continue to have a live reflection of what that looks like. So you have a clear understanding of where we're going to be, when we're going to be, what time you need to arrive. I've already introduced our team, and that is something that you can bank on as being a reliable resource for each one of you as you get out there. Food in Nepal is a fantastic opportunity, and that's a highlight for many on the expedition. We will have project goals, but we cannot always guarantee how the pace or how those unfold. We will all individually come with our intention, but what you'll see is we will be put into an environment that's new, that's challenging, and our intention will be subject to that. And as a result, the outcomes that we see from an expedition, whether personal, psychological, physical, will be so different than we ever imagined coming into it. We will know our accommodations, but that does not guarantee that they will always be as comfortable as we all might like. And so we'll talk about what accommodations look like. But imagine camping, on the base of the Himalayas with a large group of friends and coworkers in a closed space where you're rubbing shoulders together, but you're also snoring together. And so there's all those fun things, unknown factors, what happens when you put a lot of people together. And we'll talk about that. Our team is so resourceful when it comes to safety, and we do our best to make sure everyone knows beforehand what to bring. And then maybe the most fun part of every expedition is, yes, we are going to serve and change, and help a community improve its quality of life. And so we know everyone's got a desire to help. You wouldn't be on this trip if you didn't. The most rewarding and rich experience from an expedition is we do not yet know how your desire to help will be absorbed by the community and returned back to you in ways that have helped or changed you and the community for your entire life. And so that component is the most exciting thing that we do not know. So the reason I frame this is, starting now, we want everyone to start to open up to the idea that this is a planned experience that has areas we can control, but there are so many elements that we can't. And learning to flow with that will be one of the keys that allows each one of you to really be present and enjoy the opportunities that come up rather than resist the elements that are inherently out of our control. So with that, let's start to talk about some of those things that we do know. I'll give it over to Veronica to loosely walk through this itinerary. It's a ways out, but we do want to put it on everyone's radar.
Great. Thank you, Jordan. So knowing that we've got two groups on the call, we'll speak, instead of with specific dates, we'll go through day of the, numeric day of the expedition to just get you all, give you all a high-level picture of what the week will look like. So everyone will fly into Kathmandu by 1 o'clock in the afternoon on that first day, and we'll immediately travel together as a group to Makwanpur, which will be about a 4-hour distance to a hotel there, where we'll have dinner together and have an orientation, get to know one another, and just get our bearings for the week. Then while in Makwanpur on day 2, we'll have an opportunity to, after breakfast, really dive into the wintergreen sourcing. As both Rob and Jordan mentioned earlier on, it's a chance to kind of look at that supply chain, look at the distillery, and just really get up close and personal with that process and with that wintergreen. There'll be lunch after that, and then we will travel to the Lamjung district for both expeditions. And be about a 4-hour travel. Will be a little bit bumpy, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But there'll be a wonderful village welcome, and I can assure you that it will be something you will not forget. Those of you traveling to Nepal for the first time, you'll want to make sure you have your cameras ready. It is just a wonderful experience. The sights, music, friendly people, dancing, it's just phenomenal. We'll have dinner, unpack, settle in. Spend days 3 and 4 in the Lamjung district doing project work, which for both groups will consist of schoolhouse, classroom building. I'll talk a little bit about more about that later. And there'll be activities with the folks in the village. We'll have lunch, of course, every day. After we do some work, we'll have dinner and personal time in the evening, and then some great group discussions about a variety of things to help us interpret our experience. Talk about the experiences that are being had with you all together there as DoTERRA, and just be a neat opportunity for us to kind of process each day and reflect. The 5th day, we'll travel from Lamjung to the Chitwan area, where we'll have breakfast. There'll be a village farewell celebration as we get on the road, and we'll travel about 5 hours to get down to Chitwan National Park. And it'll be a chance to explore just the natural beauty and wonder that is there. We'll have a chance to spend the night there in the park in a lodge. And then day 6, we'll travel back to Kathmandu. That'll be a fairly lengthy travel day, about 7 hours, but a chance to really have some great conversations with one another, reflect on the week, some of the things we're processing, the things that we've learned. It should be a really cool chance for us to all visit together as we head back to Kathmandu. We'll have a group dinner that night, a debrief conversation, a chance to say our goodbyes, and then day 7, everyone will have a chance to do breakfast on their own and do some exploring as your itineraries allow, and then we'll provide a shuttle to the airport for you to catch your flights home. So again, just a high level. We know we're a little ways out for these trips, but just wanted you to have a sense of what that week will look like.
And thanks, Veronica. One other item that I'll mention, through that travel of Makwanpur to Lamjung and the time in Lamjung, DoTerra has been a phenomenal partner in terms of supporting, and I think Veronica will talk a little bit about this, so many of the reconstruction efforts. And so not only will we be directly working in some of that project areas, but we'll also have a lot of time to kind of learn and explore what that has looked like. It's now been, almost a year of a lot of extensive reconstruction work. And so that'll be a really neat opportunity as we go up into that area to layer on top of all those days, a lot of observation and learning and discussion about what the Healing Hands Foundation kind of has been doing together with Choice. So I think that's a neat layer also on top of this itinerary.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Jordan. On this slide, you'll see just an overview of where the Lamjung area is in relation to Kathmandu, where we'll all rendezvous. So just kind of to get you oriented, the areas where we'll be traveling through, just kind of high level. And as we said, it's about 7 hours from the Lamjung district back to Kathmandu. So just to kind of give you a sense of what travel looks like within Nepal and how long it takes to traverse that much space. But again, just kind of high level there to help you get oriented where our area of focus will be. So as Jordan mentioned, the project on which we'll be working in the projects, I should say, in the Lamjung district will be addressing needs that are needs because of the earthquake that struck back in April. And I know most of you, or probably all of you, are familiar with that, but just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of context so you can see why the help that DoTERRA has lent has been so critical. So the earthquake hit initially on April 25th, and depending on the type of scale you're looking at, it measures 7.8 to 8.1, and more than 9,000 people hurt, more than 23,000, triggered major avalanches, and then a number of other very strong aftershocks, and was just completely devastating for the country. Not only loss of life, but it had huge ramifications on everything from day-to-day lives, because so many thousands of homes were destroyed, schools were destroyed. There were then rains on top of this, so there were other elements that were making it difficult just in the immediate recovery. It was really the worst natural disaster to strike Nepal since 1934, when there was the Bihar earthquake. So devastation to a country that relies upon an infrastructure to support tourism. So it has had economic impacts, and it's just been a really, really tough blow for Nepal. Luckily, because of the support of organizations like DoTERRA, Choice Nepal was able to help with some of that immediate response and some of that rebuilding. And so, as Jordan mentioned, there'll be a chance to take a look at what some of those projects look like. And we'll have an opportunity to work on rebuilding some schoolrooms, schoolhouses that will be earthquake safe, so that we can ensure that as these children are put back into more permanent school environments, that they're engineered appropriately for what we know about the earthquake risks in these areas. So again, it'll be, I think, really great for all of you to get a sense of what has been made possible by this wonderful partnership, and to be a part of that yourselves, and to communicate with the Choice Nepal team and the villagers whom you'll get to know about what that rebuilding effort has been like for them personally. Jordan, anything else to add on that front? Oh, sorry.
Veronica, sorry, this is Chris. I jumped in just a little late. I apologize.
Welcome, Chris.
But thank you. Good to hear from you, Rob. I just wanted to clarify or maybe expand a little bit the understanding of this project of building the earthquake safe schools and houses. Choice has built 48 schools so far in our time in Nepal, all of which withstood these earthquakes and are functioning today. And the country lost 4,500 schools across the landscape, which is hundreds of thousands of children who don't get to go to school. So really rebuilding those schools with earthquake-proof technologies is critical. And rebuilding the homes in the schools aren't just helpful in their own right, but they're setting the template of replication for that community and the surrounding communities. So when we build these, we're bringing in skilled labor from that community and the surrounding communities to learn those techniques so that they can go forward and replicate. So when we build a home, for example, using the funding from DoTERRA in many cases, and Choice and other resources, they're templates, they're examples that those communities replicate amongst themselves, finding their own resources through government and other NGO partners. So this is, it has a much bigger impact than the building itself. It's important for you guys to understand the leverage that's happening there.
That's terrific. Thank you so much, Chris. That's really helpful information and context to have as we look forward to this expedition together. Thank you. Just to give you a sense of what life will be like as we are welcomed as guests into these villages in the Lamjung district, give you a little bit of sense of, as Jordan had mentioned, it is, for all intents and purposes, a camping experience and environment, but we will be doing so while housed in schoolhouses there. So we'll be rolling out our sleeping bags on schoolhouse or classroom floors. But to kind of go through, so eating, you'll be served 3 hearty, wonderful, safe meals every day, prepared by a really wonderfully trained kitchen staff there. They take very good care of us while we're in Nepal and feed us a mix of some traditional Nepali dishes, some other kind of Eastern fusion, and then sometimes some Western style. So you'll eat very well, and everything that is served to you is, of course, safe for you to eat, and is always very delicious. You'll see a snapshot there of what those group accommodations will look like as we are rolling out our sleeping bags and in those group sleeping environments. And there'll be some tent structures in place for things like cooking facilities and anything we might need to supplement those structures that are in place at the schools for us to be accommodated in. And then the simple restroom facilities, as is the custom in that area, many of those will consist of those squat latrines, which you'll see a photo of down in that lower right-hand corner there. So just, again, a snapshot of what the accommodation will look like as we're in the village. We mentioned a bit about the projects that we'll have a chance to work on together. And so, again, this is just a wonderful vehicle for the intercultural exchange and for us to get a chance to participate in this rebuilding effort a bit. And as Jordan mentioned, there may be project goals, but sometimes just as important as those project goals are those organic opportunities to have an intercultural exchange with members of the village community. And whether that means taking time to play a game of cricket with the kids in the village, play a game of soccer, participate in an impromptu music and dance session, they're all really wonderful and important means of connecting with this community and our new friends here in these villages. We'll have a chance for learning, both among ourselves there being the DoTerra group, learning from our new friends in the village, and the members of the village learning from us as we share ideas, work side to side, and learn about the people and the history and the culture of Nepal, which is truly a magnificent place with a very rich history. And hopefully everybody will get a chance to connect with members of not only the villages, but the Choice Nepal team, and just really ask questions and learn about this very rich history. And then, of course, there's celebration. There's celebration as we arrive in the village, as we again gather and sing and dance and enjoy music, and as we celebrate what we're able to do together during our days as guests in that community. So just some snapshots there. It's just such a vibrant and joyous place. I'm really excited for all of you to get to participate that as expeditioners.
And Veronica, I'd love if you could just take a minute and kind of walk people through the travel to the village. We were having a conversation yesterday, and you were sharing some thoughts about the unique nature of how that shifts, so we can kind of start to get a picture of, there's a number of legs on this expedition where we'll be in buses, and I'd love if you could kind of paint a picture of what the different types of buses, just feel like in a really brief way so that people can get a sense of what it actually means to get up into one of these communities?
Absolutely. Thanks for the nudge there, Jordan. So we typically will depart Kathmandu on the one road that goes out of Kathmandu toward the Lamjung area in a kind of a traditional tourist motor coach. And then as the terrain changes, we will shift into smaller buses and then sometimes even into a kind of what I would call, for lack of a better phrase, kind of a mountain bus where the wheels are high, the axle's up high. And to be frank, the roads are rough. We're talking, dirt roads, potholes, rocks with the heavy rainfall there, sections kind of change from season to season. So things are quite bumpy. So just to set your expectations that it will be a bumpy ride. It'll be a beautiful ride, but I do advise that folks who haven't done it before be prepared for the jolt. Be prepared if you tend to get motion sick to bring some medicines with you that you can take beforehand so that you can really be comfortable during that journey, which can be lengthy, but that still you'll be able to be comfortable and just enjoy the beautiful scenery as we get into those regions. But do be prepared that we will start out, a little bit more smoothly and that things will get a little bit rougher depending upon how high up we are going and what the conditions of those roads are.
Thanks. And then one other thing that I'll add, just on the topic of our village life and the fact that we'll all be cohabitating together. In a moment, we'll look at some packing items to kind of tee up a conversation or a Q&A about, things that we may want to prioritize bringing. But generally speaking, as Veronica mentioned, this will be kind of communal camping and co-living for a time. And so what that means is, first and foremost, those things that you'll want to bring are start to look at that as what would you bring camping? So while the Nepal team does have some basic mattresses often and those will be present for participants, you may want to bring an additional small camping air mattress and kind of plan to set up your own little space with your bag right next to you. And you'll be fairly close to friends, colleagues, coworkers, and family for, what are usually, people are passed out and sleeping well, but sometimes loud nights of snoring and rustling. And so that is just the environment around which you will be grouping together each night, getting rest. And we will kind of, go through that concept in the day. People are up early, we're eating quickly, and we're getting off onto our project teams. And so there's a lot of opportunities to be broken up in groups and experience a mix of working and all those other factors that Veronica mentioned of playing and learning and celebrating, etc. And one of the things that we feel helps people be successful is to start thinking about what you see up here. Choice has been operating expeditions now for over 30 years. And so there's thousands of people who have gone through this experience of camping and working and feeling uncomfortable, both physically and sometimes culturally or psychologically, as we're pushed to experience a lot of new things. We're being confronted with new environments. We're being confronted with qualities of standards of living that are very new to us and can be very jarring. And there's also, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of changes in this type of experience that we just can't plan for. And so change is a continual part of this. And we see through all those thousands of participants that there's generally 3 things that help people successfully navigate the fact that they will be uncomfortable, right? It will happen to all of us, including your expedition leaders, including the in-country team. There will be things that press people, and it's either living closely together with someone, or people are snoring, or the bathroom can be a challenge, or our work pace changes, or just the physical exhaustion, etc. So first and foremost is flexibility. Start thinking now about being flexible with the changes that will come your way. Your expedition leaders will do everything in their power to make sure that changes, when happening, are communicated clearly and that everyone knows what those changes will do. plans, etc., but they will happen. And so starting to already go with the motions is key. With that, we find that having a sense of humor about those changes and the challenges and the exhaustions is very important. And that will allow you to kind of process the levels of uncomfort that you personally might experience. And then this third one, to me, is the most important. And I'm just going to take a minute on this, and then we're going to leave it open for some questions. But this is the idea that every participant wants to be very mindful about how you personally are doing. If you're tired, if you're exhausted, if you're sick, if you need more rest, start to really gauge in how you're personally feeling. And even now, what are the questions you have? What are the concerns you have? And to start to communicate any issue of concern that you might have to those around you, including everyone here at Choice and your expedition leaders. And then this is more relevant when you're out in the field, but it's really being mindful about all the other participants and looking out for those around you, and to start to empathetically put yourself in every larger social situation to find how you can enhance that experience for those around you. And then lastly, being very mindful about who you represent. In this instance, you represent a couple populations. You represent yourself as a citizen from wherever you're coming from. You represent DoTERRA as an organization, and everything that DoTERRA has built with the Healing Hands Foundation. This is really an amazing opportunity to build that relationship on behalf of DoTERRA in this community. And you also represent Choice Humanitarian and the in-country team, which has spent countless years and hours building trusted and important relationships with the right community members in order to be invited into communities and help them leverage the resources that they might need. And so all of those factors, it's very early now to be thinking about them, but I want to put them on your radar because your leaders will touch on these when you get out into the field and when things do start to push you out of your comfort zone. There are 3 rules that are also most important when you're in the field, but we want to talk about them now. First, no gifts, no individual gift giving. Choice, as I mentioned, has built long relationships with every community. And what we found over the years is that maintaining that relationship intact with each expedition is essential. And oftentimes there might be a great intention to give out a couple bouncy balls, and you know what, we might have even brought 50, but without a doubt, there will always be another 5 or 10 or 20 children who show up from some other village or some other community and might leave frustrated or resentful or irritated that we simply didn't have enough. And so when we are not in a position to ensure that every community member might receive something of that nature, it's very important to avoid. And also, we don't want to leave the impression that that's what we're about. We're not coming to solve a problem for people by giving solely of our resources, but rather we are coming invited as guests into that community to support a project that they are managing. And so it's very important to emphasize that latter relationship. Second, all of our expeditions rely on the creating unconditional space for both participants and the community members. And so that means whether it's a political or a religious discussion, that there be a safe and thoughtful space within the group and also between the group and the community. And then lastly, very similar to no gifting, it's very important that we don't leave promises, because the last thing we want to leave in a community is an unfulfilled promise that negatively impacts DoTERRA, negatively impacts the trust that's been placed in Choice. So those are important rules. However, oftentimes this comes up as a question with gifts. What if I have school supplies, or we have soccer balls, or we have things that we do want to leave the community? There is an appropriate way to do that, and that comes by collectively organizing all the things that we might have, whether that's school supplies, books, oils, etc., and giving those as communal gifts to the right village leadership, school directors, or village committee, so that they can manage those gifts or those supplies for the benefit of the community. And so that's how we do that. And as the trip gets closer, we can talk about what some of those things might be that would benefit the community that doTERRA and the group can leave behind. And with this, I'll go back to Veronica here. We've put a couple slides up on the packing, not necessarily to cover one by one, but rather to start a conversation and to remind you that you have this packing list. Everyone has it in their Nepal appendix, and you should start looking at it now and familiarizing yourself with it now. And Veronica will go through a few things that she wants to specifically highlight, and then we will set aside some time for questions.
Great, thank you, Jordan. So as Jordan mentioned, I won't go through these item by item. I invite you to, when you have some time, to go through and look, but I'll let you know what works for me and what my approach is when I'm in this area of Nepal. You want to take good care of your feet. So I generally think that a good sturdy pair of either hiking shoes, tennis shoes, those are great for what can be unsteady terrain and for when we're working on projects. In addition, I like some warm footwear for at night. I think layering is absolutely the name of the game here. So I recommend for those warm sunny days while we're there, your sunscreen, your t-shirts and such. But for the evenings, I really do recommend having multiple layers. You know, I like to have a beanie. I like to bring some gloves. I like to bring warm wool socks and a pair of boots to wear around camp just to keep myself comfortable. We will use bucket showers. So I find that, you know, a microfiber towel like you would get at a sporting goods store is a great thing to have as you take advantage of you know, using that kind of shower system. I would say I'll often just take just a small assortment of working clothes and just knowing that it's nice to be able to keep things light. In this area, if you'd like to wear jeans, it's not particularly humid. And so whether you like dry fit pants or jeans, just as long as you're covered so that you can protect yourself, you should be pretty comfortable. Again, let's see. A couple other things to note. It's really sunny in these areas. So just, again, making sure you have hats, sunglasses, those types of things. A couple other items that I recommend for anyone going to Nepal. Since we will be going to Chitwan, I recommend making sure you've chosen whatever type of mosquito repellent works best for you, just to keep yourself safe and comfortable. And then I think it's always a good idea to consult with your healthcare provider about any medications you should take with you, and if it might be appropriate for you to bring an azithromycin prescription or Z-Pak. We find that should you happen to contract something like a traveler's diarrhea, that tends to be more effective than Cipro. So just something for you to take note of as you prepare. Again, there's some other really great suggestions on this list. Making sure you have some work gloves that are comfortable, that fit your hands. Ziploc bags are a great tool to have just to separate your clothes that you've worn and are dirty that you don't want to mix with your clean clothes for the back end of the trip. I definitely recommend thinking about how you want to record this trip for yourself, meaning making sure you have what you need to take pictures that will be meaningful for you, to journal your thoughts, maybe even take some videos. And iPhones tend to work really great for that. But you'll be seeing some just beautiful, breathtaking sights and colors, and just want to make sure everybody has a chance to record that in a way that's meaningful for them. I saw a question pop up about sleeping bags. I tend to take not only my sleeping bag, which is rated to be comfortable at fairly cool temperatures, I also like to bring a sleeping bag liner. I would much rather have you get there and need, if for some reason with all of us in those sleeping environments, it's quite comfortably warm and you end up needing just your liner, wouldn't that be great? But I would much rather have you be prepared in case the temperatures are cold, that you'll be able to sleep comfortably. So consider as you look at what you have, what you might borrow, what might be appropriate for you to bring. A sleeping bag liner in addition to a sleeping bag can be a really great combination for these areas. Headlamp is another thing that I think is absolutely essential for these areas. So just to make sure you find something that works for you to have that light source in the evening. I think that's really all of the detail that I'd go into at this time. Just the things that I find work for me, and invite you to take a look at that more detailed list as you have a few moments to do so.
Veronica, do you happen to know what the situation is for drinking water? And can you talk about that.
So typically the Choice Nepal team will secure bottled water in either like a large Alhambra style and then there's a pump where we can pump that into individual bottles, or if that's for some reason not accessible, they'll get smaller bottles that can be then distributed individually. So I recommend bringing a water bottle with you, but rest assured that there will be plenty of clean water for you to drink. We absolutely want you to stay hydrated, especially in these sunny areas and where you'll be working. So rest assured we will provide that clean water for you to drink.
I generally will bring, those of you who might already have one on hand, bring a SteriPen along that you can purify your own water as needed. Sometimes when you're out on the project site, it's a distance away from the water supply of the camp, and it becomes very helpful. And in some cases, I've been in villages where it's not feasible to bring in the big 5-gallon buckets of water because it's quite a hike in, and I'm not sure the circumstances here, but if anyone has a SteriPen already, bring it along.
And a quick note then, thank you for that. And in addition about power, in some of the schools there will be, there can be intermittent power. I again don't want to promise up front what that will look like, so hopefully we can maybe communicate that out as we get closer, but just don't want to set expectations that you'd be able to you know, charge things like all day, every day. It really does vary village to village. So I know we're a few months out, so we'll try to, you know, communicate that as we get a little bit closer. But I would set your expectations low as far as having a steady and reliable electricity source while we're there in the village.
And then,
or maybe any.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you'll see a note here. Question that just came in, you know, if we are walking or hiking into the community, what type of bag might be appropriate? In some instances, there is likely a small hauling of our equipment, and sometimes that distance is a little bit longer. We will usually have some good support along with our in-country team as well as community members to make sure that, you know, so no one needs to feel a concern about getting bags from point A to B. That said, the best type of bags, or I should say the most challenging type of bags, can oftentimes be, you know, larger roller-based bags. One of the challenges with those is they're also a lot more likely to get broken or damaged just with general hauling on and off of buses, etc. So I really recommend larger duffels with some bigger straps. There are also, you know, some people have larger backpacking backpacks. Those are really workable and makes it very easy for yourself or others who might be hauling them from point A to B, regardless of how long that might be. For those who are like, you know what, I feel like I need to pick up a bag for this, or a really resilient duffel bag, I've found increasingly with participants a very successful bag to be, there's a couple North Face type all-weather waterproof duffels that are very big and they're duffel based, but they also have backpack straps on them, and that's what I use. Those work very well, but no one needs to feel like you need to get a new bag for this trip. But those are some of the risks if you've got kind of a wheel-based one. Is there's some areas where that could, you know, get damaged.
And then I think just to kind of finish up this section, as Jordan mentioned, there will be some items that would be appropriate to bring for us to share with the village through the village leadership or the school, but there are some great things you can bring to facilitate intercultural exchange. And so invite you to think about what that might look like for you, whether it's a couple bottles of nail polish, some bubbles, sports equipment is always a great thing, jump ropes, just things that can really help create some really natural interactions with members of the village to really make sure that we have an enjoyable and, you know, social time together. So there'll be opportunities for you to, you know, stash a few of those things away, and you know, that'll help connect with the village.
Yeah, I would echo that, and thanks for reminding me on that. Around this no gifting, one of the principles is really bring things that will facilitate interaction between yourself, village community members, and children. And so the idea is you're leaving something for sure, but it's not a toy. It's an hour and a half where you just played together. And so Veronica mentioned some of those things. These are bubbles. These are nail polish, paint. These are things you can always have in your pocket, and you'll always find that there are moments where those will end up, instigating a few hours of some pretty fun interaction. And so, yeah, a couple items like that. Face paint is also very fun. And you never have to worry. It runs out, and you do the best you can. But those are great tools to have. Also, small, pocket size photo album that maybe includes some photos of your family, maybe the city where you're from. If you're here in Utah, what this winter snowstorm looked like. This is kind of a lot of fun stuff that facilitate that interaction.
Let's see. I think that's it for now for any specifics that I would recommend. And I would just echo what Jordan said. The photo album, I take that on every single trip I go on. And some of the most meaningful interactions I've had have been people from the village sitting down and wanting to know about your family just because you have photos of them there with you.
Are there any other questions that have come in? Alyssa, I don't know if you've seen on the chat there, she's been awesome. She's been like a real-time resource, just streaming great answers and great recommendations. And so thank you for diving in on that. Any other questions that have come up? I have a question on pants.
Yeah, I didn't want to write it. This is Danielle. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can.
Yeah, so I know it said like no jeans, and I mean, I'm so like bad. I either wear jeans or yoga pants. So, and I don't want to wear yoga pants because they're like really, obviously for tight and working out. So what would be like cargo pants? Like, cause those don't seem very light to me. I don't know what other.
Let me clarify a little bit on the no jeans. In that, what we typically see is in our humid countries, which can oftentimes be many of the countries we're working in, conditions are unpredictable, and so it can be very common to be working on a wet day. And so the downside of jeans is that once they're wet, they're probably going to be wet for the rest of that time, and I've experienced that on a number of occasions. However, if there is no rain, jeans are oftentimes your most cozy pants at night because they're keeping you warm, and they don't get dirty easy. So what we would really say is for working, they're just phenomenal. So no jeans is coming out of there. And I really recommend bring a pair of jeans or two pairs, but have a pair of pants that you could feel comfortable working in, that if it was super hot or if it was maybe really rainy, that you know what, that's probably going to dry a little faster than jeans. So an example of that would be kind of your REI style cargo pant that has zip off pockets and kind of have multi-function use. Those can be great for a lot
kind of nylon. Yeah.
Nylon. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, let's see. I've got
some of those breathable, sort of lightweight, fast drying.
May I make a little?
I have a
speech
question, but I don't know if
that?
I can be heard. Can I be heard?
Yeah, go ahead. And then I think after you, Rob's got a little thought here.
Oh, okay. Sorry. This is Rebecca Hensey. I'm just wondering, because you're mentioning being able to document things and have pictures and whatnot. And of course, an iPhone's great for that. Will we have the ability to charge our iPhones at night to be able to have them with us? Is there electricity?
So in this community, there is some access to electricity where individuals will be going. What we can't always guarantee is that will be sufficient for the recording of everyone's stuff. So there is an option, but can't always guarantee it. And so one of the things, we see a lot of individuals do is, yes, I think these days everyone's camera is typically their phone, which is, you can't, hard to bring chargeable options for that. So there's a few options. One, focus on bringing cameras where you can bring spare batteries, etc. And also, Alyssa had jotted down a couple types of free charging devices. There's a lot of Goal Zero options and just a lot of USB-based chargers that can be loaded up before you arrive. You charge your phone maybe once a country. And if we've got someone there, maybe on a phone call elsewhere, if you could mute yourself, that'd be great. Thank you.
And the clean basket and then the washer.
Okay, great. Okay.
Got a washing conversation.
That's the one.
So We just started it.
Karina, unmute yourself. Mute yourself, Karina.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, good.
Good call.
Exercise and flexibility there. So, so yeah, that's what I would add there. I don't know, Veronica or Chris, if you have another thought there.
I know that there are now also some solar options that folks can use, things that can be charged by the sun to provide, charging, then access for the iPhone. I've not used it myself, but I know that's an opportunity as well. But yeah, you're spot on with that. Don't always rely.
If I could, we're actually sending. You're going to be receiving in the mail, all of you, a nice. Listen, and Tammy's put together a nice. You're going to get a day pack, a really nice bag, day pack. They're also sending you this flashlight. It's a solar flashlight, and it actually comes with the charging cable for a phone.
Oh, wow.
I haven't charged my phone with this yet, but apparently this says, it says that this works. Anyway, there's kind of a cool story behind this too that ties into the choice, but you can buy the spare portable batteries, and you can also use your phone judiciously, and you won't have to do texts or calls the whole week when we're up in the mountains. That'll be a great part of it too. So, having been on several of these, and also having brought a ton of Boy Scouts in the mountains for the last 25 years of my life, and facing different conditions. Let me make a speech when it comes to your clothes. Okay, number one, let's keep everything simple. When we're up in the mountains, we don't need to look handsome. We just need to have clothes that are functional up there. Just remember to always dress in layers, right? As it warms up during the day and gets cold at night, you'll just want to be. That's the best way to manage your body temperature is for dressing in layers. Regarding jeans, they are comfortable. I would suggest though that you consider be careful on anything that's made with cotton on this trip. That's just a good kind of expedition rule that you follow. So look towards synthetic fibers, and also wool is a wonderful fiber that provides. It's a great weight to warmth ratio, and wool dries quickly. So if you look at a layer of a wool sweater or something, that would be great. But on your other things, look for things that don't have a lot of cotton in them, because if they do get wet, they're going to stay wet for a long time. I'm gonna throw my reminder in on good shoes. I really think a good pair of shoes is maybe the difference between sometimes a good trip and not a good trip. Doesn't mean you need to go out and spend a lot of money on shoes, but you need to make sure that you have a good shoes. And I would say a good pair of shoes are shoes that have a firm sole. So if you step on a nail, it's not going to punch easily through a tennis shoe or something like that. So something with a stiff sole. We're going into play. We could get rain on your list. We talk about rain gear. Just make sure you have a truly rain-proof rain jacket or some type of a poncho that can fold down small, but that you can throw in your little day pack, and you're always able to keep the water off you. If you can keep dry and you have layers of clothes, you're going to stay warm even in cold areas. So you'll do good with that. Choice is not just saying this no gifting thing. That's not just a suggestion. We can really mess up future participants on the trips if people are expecting people are sneaking gifts to people, and you can really mess up to the happiness of everybody if you give a gift to one person and the word gets out and other people don't get it. You may even, the person receiving the gift may face some challenges that it'd be worse than not having the gift that you gave them. I also want to say that, having gone on a few of these trips with other groups, everything's great on this trip. Food's great. Everything's great. Just, you need to be emotionally prepared for the bathroom situations. You'll make it, and it'll all be good, but just just know that sometimes that can be a little stark for some people. But we haven't lost anybody in the bathroom yet. Everybody's made it out alive. But just be emotionally prepared. Just if you manage your expectations down, I promise Choice will exceed your expectations on everything. But we are going into a beautiful part of the world that's still coming up to speed on some basic services. And we'll have a great experience with that. But just be emotionally prepared for that. Okay.
Well, thanks, Rob. I think it's all good. Good close on some thoughts here. Just some of you have asked questions about, do you have the packing list, etc. Along with this slide deck that was sent out to you this morning, you should also have a few other things that I've got up here on the deck. The expedition manual in general is a great introduction to all the phases of an expedition. And then in there, along with the Nepal appendix, you'll get some more country-specific information. You'll have all the packing information there. So everyone should have the resources they need to start kind of combing through and finding out what the best packing situation is for you. And we'll continue to send updates should there be any changes. Again, we'll revisit this a little bit before the trip since it's a little far out so that everyone has a nice refresher. But with that, I'm not sure if there are any other questions or comments.
I'd like to just jump in, Jordan, real quick if I can, and just bring everybody back for a moment to the high-level impact that's happening here. I can't emphasize enough the impact that doTERRA and Healing Hands has had, particularly in Nepal this last year, in the wake of the earthquake and the recovery. Choice's mission is to end extreme poverty. And the impact of sourcing oil from these areas, the investment that's gone into not just building the wintergreen industry in these areas, but revitalizing the destruction from the earthquake has been a complete game changer. And I just want the participants, those of you going, to have the depth of understanding how big this is for the Nepali people in recovering and rebounding from that destruction, and just being on a path out of poverty and thriving communities. And this has been and will continue to be a tremendous asset and partnership that we have here in that pursuit. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Chris, for kind of reminding us what this expedition in particular is all about. And we're here to help you guys gear up, to prepare, and you've got great leaders who are going to make sure that experience is a game changer for most of you and for the foundation. So thanks again for rallying and coming on board. This will be available to access for those of you who might want to go back and revisit some of this, and also for those who weren't able to attend. So,
and I will say, any specific questions, if you'll forward those to Tammy, and she can get those answered or get those forwarded to people that can answer your questions. Again, we're gonna have a great trip. The more we can prepare beforehand, it just makes it all the smoother while we're on the trip. So we'll have this will be a great experience for everyone.
Okay, take care, everybody.
It's gonna be awesome.
Thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.